Good morning, everybody. I am Professor M.D. Biradar, retired principal and retired MCC officer. I am running 78 now, but still not tired. I have started my own institution, Guru Basava institutions, starting from LKG to degree. I am engaging classes right from LKG to degree, so I feel myself still young when I am associated with the students. Let us start the subject civil defense and its importance. Civil defense is generally defined as a defense of the civilians by civilians themselves. But I am remembered of Abraham Lincoln's definition on democracy. He defines democracy as democracy is a government of the people, for the people and by the people. In the same way, we can define civil defense as it is a defense of the civilians, for the civilians and by the civilians. And we can understand the importance of defense during emergency only, not during peacetime. We can understand the necessity of civil defense when there is a natural calamity, because the necessity of civil defense arises only during these times. During wartime, our forces are fully engaged in securing our national borders. Particularly our country has got a very long border with so many enemy countries around us. For example, Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, and recently Nepal also has joined with them. So we cannot expect anything from the defense forces to come and help us when they are busily engaged in the border. For that, some means are to be prepared. That is, civilians have to prepare themselves for defending themselves. There is no other goal. So generally civil defense is organized by the volunteers with a very small unit of a paid employees with a very small infrastructure. So this is the introduction all about civil defense, and let us think of a point by point. The aims of civil defense are, it is to save the life, maybe during wartime, maybe during natural calamities. We have to save the life of the civilians. And second one, to minimize the damage to the property, national property or maybe individual property. And third one, to maintain the continuity of our industrial production, which is set back generally by the bombardment and all that during wartime. And next one is to uphold the moral of the people. During these calamities, whether natural or artificial, people will certainly lose the confidence. They lose the courage. When we are fighting with a big country like China, people may think that China is a big country, how can we survive? So this fear will be there in the mind of the public. And we have to hold up their moral, encourage them tell them our efficiency and all that. When our people are trained well in restoring the damages without the help of the disaster management force or the defense forces, when we give training to the civilians during peace time, and they will be well equipped, they will be knowing how to defend themselves. When we have a knowledge of defending ourselves, perhaps that fear will minimize. And next one is, along with encouraging the people, we have to maintain the internal security also. There will be anti-national elements, anti-social elements, which may create panic amongst the people. And this panic should be reduced by telling them how to overcome the difficulties, by training them how to overcome the difficulties. And the last one is the panic, the fear. It's a very dangerous one. When a person is put in fear, he will not be able to fight or survive. And that confidence we have to fill in the minds of the people. If some people propagate the anti-national ideas, anti-social ideas, we should aware the common public that nothing is going to happen and our country is capable of defending itself and we are also capable of defending ourselves. This confidence should be given to the people. So this way, these are the main aims of civil defense. Then coming to civil defense measures, mainly there are three measures. The one is preventive measures, second one is control measures, third one is restorative measures. Preventive measures means we have to be well prepared before the calamities or before the war. How to face all these things, like giving training to the public in blackouts, how to save ourselves from the air raids, how to prepare the bunkers for our safety, what all to be done in these calamities. If training is given to the people and at the same time we have to restore certain things, the equipments, uniforms. So these are the the preventive measures that we can take up during civil defense, and control measures when actually the things happen. Actually when there is an air raid attack, actually when there is a flood, when there is an earthquake, when there is a cyclone, typhoon, when there is a disturbance somehow, naturally or artificially, and what to do at that time. That is controlling measures, that immediately what we should do after the air raid attack. We should recce the area where the air raid attack had taken place, what losses are put in, and the information should be given to the responsible authorities, because they may take up some measures. And if there are any unexploded bombs, and that recce also should be done, and immediately we have to do the rescuing of the casualties whenever the casualties are taken place. If the high buildings, multi-storage buildings fall down, there will be so many casualties. People will be buried in the debris. So this is during control measures, we have to remove the people, those who are under the debris, to save their life. And service arrangement of transport, shifting the people from that particular spot where the damage has taken place, sending them to hospital and providing them food, clothing, if necessary oxygen, whatever they need for the survival. So these are the control measures. And restorative measures are when important things are done, lives are saved, animals are saved, human beings are saved, property is saved, then also the job is not over. So we have to, injured people immediately we have to send them to the immediate giving first aid, send them to hospitals and sending them to proper shelter, providing them food, clothing. So these are the things we can take up, and at the same time, if there are any dead bodies, whether it is of animals or human beings, and those dead bodies should be immediately removed from that place, because it may spoil the air and that may lead to epidemics also. Immediately that jobs can be done. So these are three measures that the person who wants to involve oneself in the civil defense activities. And how this civil defense is organized at the district level. Civil defense generally is organized at the district level only. DC, or who is called a district magistrate, he is the head of the civil defense in every district. And he appoints some people for his assistance. For example, he appoints SP to look into the law and order situation, controlling the panic. And to assist him, there will be a health officer, because he has to treat the injured people, serious people. Medical help should be given only by the doctors. Doctors will be there for his assistance, and there will be PWD engineers also. They also play an important role. Transportation generally and supplying manpower. So PWD engineers can do that. These three people, Superintendent of Police, Health Officer and PWD engineer, these will be always at the disposal of Deputy Commissioner. And this is a committee formed at the district level. And he can include some of the people who are volunteers, patriots, who are disciplined people, who have a will to do the social service. Such people also can be included in the advisory committee of the Deputy Commissioner. And here at the district level, various committees have been formed to carry out the job easily and successfully. Division of labor. Like headquarters is there under the supervision of Deputy Commissioner, and there will be a warden service also. Headquarter committee, it looks after everything, in overall supervision it does. And there is a warden service also. The main job of the warden is to train the people what to do during air raid attacks. To train the people what to do whenever there is a fire. To train the people what to do whenever there is a flood. To to train the people what to do whenever there is a epidemic. So the training is given by the warden service, and warden has got a small unit, a paid employee small unit, a small store, so that he can store necessary equipments required for, particularly for firefighting, extinguishing the fire. So controlling the fire, extinguishing the fire is one of the important duties of the civil defense. And he trains how to shift the sum of the population. If there is a flood, population has to be shifted from the dangerous areas. Factories are to be shifted. Factories have to be camouflaged, hidden from the enemy's eye. They should be camouflaged. And the evacuating the dead persons, this all comes under the warden service. He has to train the people how to carry the people, how to carry the dead bodies, how to dispose the dead bodies. All this is done by the warden service. And next, the firefighting service. In the civil defense, firefighting service plays a very important role. So extinguishing fire is very important, otherwise it will spread to many other areas. The firefighting service is find out the location and circles the area and tries to extinguish it. We will have a discussion of firefighting in detail at the end of the speech. Casualty service. Some people are demarked or assigned to take the casualties and to give them a first aid what is required immediately and take them to the hospitals. Some people are given that task. So all cannot do. There should not be any confusion who to do what. Then communication service also. Without communication, a team cannot work properly. There should be a telephone communication. There can be communication through runner. There can be communication through TV channels. Immediately the matter can be sent to them. Then rescue service. First of all, the rescue service to be done. Human beings should be rescued because human life is more precious. Then animals should be allowed to go out of that dangerous area. And we should try to rescue the property later. First life should be saved and then property. Then training service. This training service is done only during peace time. There is an expectation that war is going to happen. Or during rainy season we can expect that there may be a flood. If it is a regular occurring, so then we have to be prepared for that. The training should be given how to rescue the people during flood time, how to rescue the people during air raid time, air raid attack, how to save the people during fire. All this training should be given by the warden well in advance during peace time only. Then welfare service. Some people are allotted for that, looking after the injured people, shifting them to safe places, providing them food, shelter, clothing, etc. Then transport service, which generally is under the control of PWD engineer. He has to arrange for the transport of sending the people from that area and bringing the necessary equipments and items to that area required. For example, if there is a fire, water should be brought in. The injured people should be sent. The both-way transportation has to work. Store services. The storage should be made. The firefighting equipment should be stored. The proper dresses for the people, those who are entering the fire to extinguish it, that also should be stored in a room. And the supply services, immediately milk is necessary, water is necessary, drinking water, food is necessary. All the arrangements should be made by the supply services. And corpse disposal service. Dead bodies cannot be kept in that area. They should be either disposed, buried or burnt. Anything can be done. Take them away, and whatever action to be taken should be done immediately. Then salvage services. Whatever damages have taken place, whatever is possible to repair, that should be done. And extra places are required. We have to search in for that extra places nearby area and to shift the people. The most important is panic control. Particularly the outside enemy we are aware of. The enemies inside the country are very dangerous. We know that enemy is there in front of us. But the enemy inside the country is not known. In what guise he is there? He may be in different guise. He may try to put a loss to the country, loss to the society, loss to the property. So, these people create a fear in the mind of the people by spreading some news, unwanted news. That's why some people should educate the people not to hear the false words of the people, those who want to discourage you. Because their main intention is to create panic in the public so that there will be disturbance in the society. So, these are some 14 services which are necessary in civil defense. All these 14 services are maintained in every district. Then coming to the firefighting. In the civil defense, firefighting is an important aspect. This is important. Every firefighter should know what should be done where there is a fire. The firefighting, any Tom, Dick, Harry cannot go and extinguish the fire because there is a danger. Fire may burn, fire may kill also. For that, some trained people, some people who have got the knowledge of how to fight the fire, some people who have got the knowledge of what type of fire it is, such people should be selected in this firefighting party. Fire mainly arises because of three elements. One is combustible material, the material which can catch fire immediately. Other one is heat. Third one is oxygen. When these three come together, combustible material, heat and oxygen, when these three come together, there will be a fire. The firefighter must know very well that out of these three, combustible material, heat and oxygen, which can be removed easily and quickly. So, they can successfully fight the fire. And they must have the idea what type of fire. There are different types of fires. One is solid fire, liquid fire is there, gas fire is there, electric fire is there, nuclear fire is there. Different types of fires are there. So the firefighter should know what type of fire it is. If there is a gas fire, what should be done? If there is electric fire, what should be done? If there is a solid fire, nuclear fire, must understand the nature of all these different fires. And coming to the actual work of firefighting, the firefighting party is divided in 4 parties. One is fire protection party. The area where fire is seen, that area should be immediately protected by this firefighting party. Generally, if the area is small, the people in fire protection party will be generally 8 or 10 people, say a section, a strength of a section. If the area is very wide, the number may be increased because the whole area has to be protected. Then we may require a strength of a platoon. If it is still wider, we may require the strength of a company. Like that, this firefighting party, its main job is not to allow anybody to enter into the place of fire. Because outsider may come, they may throw petrol, kerosene or any other material which can increase the fire. The anti-national or anti-social elements may try to increase the fire. The role of protection party is not to allow anybody from outside to enter the place of fire. And at the same time, they should not allow the person from inside to go out. Because the person who must have put fire, who may be responsible for the fire, they may try to escape from that area. The protection party has to arrest them, not to allow the people to go out from inside and not to allow the people from outside to go in. They must put a barrier around the place of fire. This is the important job of the protection party. If possible, they can hold weapons also for their safety. And there is a extinguishing party, fire extinguishing party. These people must be well trained how to extinguish the fire. And they must have a proper dress because their safety also is important. They must have a proper dress which cannot catch the fire easily. And they must have the equipments of extinguishing the fire. And they must be trained also. There will be another party, rescue party. Their main job is to remove the people from that area. Not to allow the people to lose their life, whether it is a human beings or animals. They must save the life first and then the property. Only for that job, some people should be earmarked. And the last one is supply party. When the fire has to be extinguished, for extinguishing the fire, supplying like sand, water or any other equipments to fight the fire is necessary. All that should be supplied to the firefighting party. Any common man may become the member of this party. The source of water, if it is a far away, a long line is required. A single line has to be prepared or 2 lines can be prepared. One side party is supplying the material and other side taking the equipments for supplying the material. Easily it can be done. Any untrained person can become the member of this party with a simple idea. And next one, and these parties have to work in coordination. There should be a proper supervision also. And 4 parties have been divided firefighting parties divided into 4 different parties like protection party, fighting party, rescue party and supply party. There should be supervision also. There should be coordination also in all these 4 parties. So it is essential for any country to train ourselves in civil defense. So my idea, instead of training the common public, a country like Israel, which is a very small country, it gives a military training to each and every person in the country. Every boy after 18 years undergoes a military training for 3 years. Every girl also undergoes a military training for 2 years. The whole population of the country is trained. There doesn't arise to prepare an extra civil defense party. Then all the population of the country is prepared for that. So we also should adopt such measures of making a military training to all able men and women in the country, at least for 2 to 3 years a compulsory training, so that very effectively civil defense can be done in any country, particularly a country like ours, which is a vast country, must have this idea of training each and every person, because in military, in defense forces, all this type of training is given to them. So with this, I conclude my speech. Thank you one and all.